When I've been out door knocking and I've come to people's houses that I know well, a lot of them ask me, why do you want to go back down there again? The animosity that is down there is so tense. Why do you even want to go there? And I thought about that, quite a while when I was thinking about running, why do I want to do that? And a lot of good representatives from both sides of the aisle decided this year not to run because of that very issue. And I think that that's extremely unfortunate. But I decided that rather than to run away from that problem, I decided to run again. 2 years before I was there was a state shutdown. The year after I was there was a state shutdown. But in the 4 years I was there, we adjourned on time every year. And I actually had something to do with that. People say, yeah, but what did you have to do with it? Well, I actually did. When I was there, one of the first weeks we were there, one of the representatives of the freshman class on the DFL side got a meeting together. And we talked about what's the big issue that we need to go to the House leadership and say, you have to fix this problem. And they argued back and forth for quite a while. And finally I said, you know what, guys, you're not going to agree on what the most important issue is. But we can all agree that we will be done on time. And if we go to the leadership and tell them we will be done on time, we will be done on time. And so that's what happened. And every year, we adjourn on time. And that shouldn't be a big deal. But it's become a big deal, unfortunately. There are a lot of things that we can do to try to fix some of the animosity that exists down there. One of them is we need to make some changes to the campaign finance laws. And I think that we can do that in a way that still protects freedom of speech and yet make some changes to that. I think another thing we need to do is we need to work together with other people. We need more moderates there, not more extremists. All we need is 5 to 10 moderates from each party, and the gridlock will stop. I'm proud to be a moderate, and I believe that I'm a moderate, and I think that that's what we need more of in St. Paul.
Thank you. Second up, Ben, your final 2 minutes.
Well, the most common question that I'm asked on the campaign trail is, why are you running? I've got 4 very big reasons to run. My son Andrew, my daughter Grace, my daughter Rebecca, and my son Caleb. I'm willing to serve and to sacrifice for their future. For me, it's about creating a better future for our children and our grandchildren. We can't be mortgaging our future to pay for what we want now. We've got to have a long-term outlook. We need to create a better business climate in the state of Minnesota, and especially in rural Minnesota. My parents and my grandparents lived and worked in this district. They raised their families here. I want my children to have that same opportunity to raise their families here in greater Minnesota. If we don't grow jobs, they're going to have to go to where the jobs are so that they can support their families. We need to lower taxes. We need to reduce the stifling regulations in this state so that we can grow those jobs here in Minnesota, and especially in rural Minnesota, rather than having them be created elsewhere. Sometimes it's really difficult to express all of your history and your emotions in only 2 short minutes. But I just want each and every one of you here tonight to know that I'm willing to sacrifice and serve, and I view service in the legislature much like I view my 4 deployments with the with the Army, 3 of those with the Minnesota Army National Guard. 2 of those have been in combat in Iraq. It's about service and it's about sacrifice. And if I'm elected, I will be honored to serve the people of this nation.
Tony, final 2 minutes.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you again to Pine Tech and to the Pine City Area Chamber of Commerce and Window for sponsoring this debate. And thank you again for your patience and your attention as we went through this host of questions. I really enjoyed myself here, and I hope you did too. And I hope you learned a lot about the candidates. I am State Senator Tony Laurie. I've been in the Minnesota Senate for 6 years, and I've really enjoyed my time there. It's been a true honor to serve. I began to tell you a little bit during one of the questions about how I try to serve, but to try to make sure that I serve everybody, listen to constituents well, and work well across the aisle. If you take a look at my legislative accomplishments, look at the legislation that I've passed, you'll see that typically the second author on most bills that I've passed is a Republican. That's because when I have an idea, one of the first things I do before even committing it to paper is I walk across the aisle and I sit down with people that I don't necessarily agree with, but I know have a passion for mental health or schools or whatever, and I ask them for their best ideas, and I ask them for their help in moving Minnesota forward on this. And when we do that, in that manner, we do better for Minnesota and we come up with a shared vision for our future. That's the approach I've tried to use. I've got deep roots here in Pine County. I grew up here. I bought the farm right around the corner from where I grew up, a farm that my very best friend lived on when I was a little kid. And I understand rural, and I would be honored to serve yet again. And with that, I ask for your vote for one more term. Thank you.
Bill, you get the last word of the last words. Your 2 minutes.
Well, I want to thank everyone here, especially the organizers of the event tonight, and thank you especially for picking a night that wasn't a World Series game, a Vikings game, or a presidential debate. We've been busy every night and watching those things. We've all been glued to our TVs watching that. And I want to thank all of you in the audience tonight, especially, you came here for over an hour and a half, 2 hours here tonight. That's really awesome. Jobs is the key. I'm really going to do everything I can for jobs and to make sure that the businesses that are already there will be able to grow and be able to hire more people and provide better paying jobs, not just the same old ones that we've been having. Earlier we talked about the state shutdown that we had. There was one good thing that happened from that state shutdown, and I don't know if anybody remembers it, but that's when we had the 4th of July tornadoes and storms came through. I talked to the people at the St. Croix State Park. They said if the campers would have been there, there would have been multiple fatalities there because it just laid the whole works right down. So that's the only good thing about a state shutdown. It saves some people from getting hurt up there. Otherwise, we've got to work to make sure we don't do that, just like Tim was saying. In 8 years in Minnesota, we're going to have more retired people than we will have of all school-age young people. That's never happened before. I want to make sure when I go down to the Senate to make sure that we're prepared for that. Right now, it's about a year-long waiting list to get into a senior apartment just a couple blocks from here. We got to make sure we're meeting those needs of our adults in the future here as well. Differences between me and Tony, I brought up a couple of them humorously earlier. I'm also endorsed by several people, including former state senator, Democrat Florian Chmielewski, one of your neighbors up the road there. And also, we talked about guns earlier. The Gun Owners Civil Rights Alliance, they endorsed me as well, and I thank you for tonight, and thank you for all coming.
Thank you, candidates. Thank you, Chamber. Thank you, Windows. Election's just a few weeks off. Be sure you get out and